Okay, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of the No Limits podcast with me, your host, Mark Ormod, and today's special guest, I would drum roll if I had two hands, Ali Golchin. Ali, did I say your surname correct?
Yes, you did. Yeah. That was
Perfect.
a that was a pretty good effort as far as first timers. So yeah, all
What, the
good.
intro, you mean?
Yeah.
Awesome, mate. Thank you so much for coming on. You are the first guest of, is it 2026? It is 2026.
Yes,
I was getting ahead of
yes, sir.
myself. I was going to say 2027. Um, but you're the first guest of 2026. So thank you for giving up your time to come on. I have done no preparation for this podcast. Firstly, because I like to have an organic, free flowing, natural conversation.
Right.
Secondly,
Okay.
because I'm lazy and I couldn't be bothered. And I had loads of other stuff on. So rather than sit down and meticulously prep, I didn't bother. But we've been friends for a little while now. So I know a little bit about you and a little bit about your story and the kind of things that you do, have done, and have achieved. But I want to let you tell them. And I want you to start telling them from wherever you want.
Right.
So
Okay.
give yourself a massive introduction. Don't be humble. Just do it properly and
Okay.
tell everyone
Okay.
who you are.
My name is Ali. I was born prematurely, so I was a preemie baby basically. I was born at 6 months, and as a result, I was diagnosed with something called cerebral palsy, which effectively is a form of brain damage, like for lack of a fancy term.
Hmm.
Um, but in the last, I'd say in the last 5 years, 5 or so years, I've molded myself into like a scholar athlete. I have two degrees, a bachelor's degree and a master's degree. My master's being in Japanese studies, and then I'm also a para-jiu-jitsu athlete, um, purple belt, competitor, world's bronze medalist, um, two-time Rio double para champion, and yeah, I just like fitness and combat sports and all
Hmm.
that stuff. And I've kind of used my journey to try and inspire others. I suppose, especially because like I wasn't an athlete to begin with. I've kind of like molded all of this from scratch, which I think is pretty cool. So yeah, that's how I describe myself. I don't know if you think that's a good intro, but yeah,
It's definitely accurate, mate, from what I know about you. But there's a lot I don't know about you. Something that always fascinates me um, when I speak to other people from the para community is, I had the good fortune of 24 years of my life being able-bodied, and then, from the age of 24 to now being disabled. Things like growing up, going to school, they are tough anyway for
yeah.
able-bodied, healthy individuals. So, I mean, if you don't mind talking about it, I'd be really curious to get a deeper insight into what that stage of your life was like, because I imagine it was pretty rough.
Um, to be honest, I'd say that like it's weird because normally people will say that um you know I think like secondary school for me was actually like good in terms of like the friends that I made, I would say. So like from that point of view it was really good. I mean, you've met some of my friends because like they've come to my comps. They were at like some of the real comps and like you've met them briefly. So I'd say from that point of view it was actually I was quite lucky. Like I've the group of boys that I made friends with, I'm still friends with now. In terms of secondary school and even primary school like was good because they like my old headmaster, he actually like encouraged me to get involved and and do things. So I was never like put to the side in that sense. But secondary school, the one bad thing about secondary school was like in terms of like physical education or any of that side of things, like they were pretty rubbish. So I did feel a bit left out when it came to like PE. And in terms of like the way that the teachers saw me secondary school wise, like it wasn't that great. I was basically told, or my mum was basically told by the head of learning support, like, oh, he can't do this subject, he can't do that subject, like he's not smart enough to do this, and kind of all these remarks. And that was that was on the second day of school, by the way. I just started 2 days ago, and my mom said to her like, how how are you making judgments on my son like when you don't even know him? Like why are you prejudging? Like my mom was livid. Um, Basically, she couldn't understand like why they were doing that. But hey, I guess I proved them all wrong. So
You
it's,
did.
it's not too bad.
What year did you start secondary school?
So I started secondary school in 2009. Yeah,
Okay.
2009.
So the like the world's changed a lot, since I went to school. It's a lot more, health and safety, safeguarding, that kind of stuff. Do you think that's why they didn't include you in PE and said you couldn't do this, couldn't do that to protect themselves?
I believe so because like it's um it's a funny thing with health and safety, and I'll give you a really good example, right? So when we were in sixth form, which is like the 2 years pre-university, basically. Um, so every there was a park about, I'd say, about 5 meters outside of our school. It was like really really close, and every lunchtime, um, all the sixth formers would go out to that park and just kind of hang out, and obviously my friends would go as well. And then I'd say to like the people, the SEN people, like, yo, can I go as well? And they'd be like, no, like you can't go because of health and safety. And I was just sitting there thinking, like, why can't I go? It got to the point where my parents even said that they would sign a waiver, like to say that if anything happens, like it's
Yeah.
our fault. Will take responsibility. And they still said no. And they put it down to health and safety because they said, "Oh, you might injure yourself." But then I was like, "What? Can a able-bodied not person not like trip over and
Hmm.
on the way to the park and injure themselves? Like, what's that all about?" So I think the way that health and safety is applied to disabled kids is like so weird.
Yeah.
Um, it's almost like they see us as like super duper fragile, or like if not that, they tend to put all of us in like the one box. It's like, oh, you're disabled, welcome to the club, join the club, sort of thing. Whereas like everyone's disability is different. you know
Yeah. And it's hard, isn't it? You kind of try, well, I try and look at it from both sides. If I was a teacher and I wanted to keep that person safe and keep me safe, keep my job safe legally, what do I do? And then when you're the disabled person inside, you're like, exactly what you just said. Well, an able-bodied person could injure themselves too. So what's the difference? It's difficult, isn't it? But did they
yeah,
ever
yeah.
did they ever loosen up a little bit with any of it and let you
uh
run free?
uh not really, to be honest. Like they never did until like, and then when I left and then sort of went back to visit, they were just amazed at like how much I had changed, and they were like, "What? Like, are you the same guy?" Sort of thing, and I
Yeah,
was like, "Apparently so." So, um, yeah, no, they never changed. Like I do believe that the system is getting slightly better now, but it's gonna take a long while to properly like be in the right place. I think.
it's very, because it's just because it's so complex. Like I know how able you are. I know how independent you are. And I'm sure they did too. But it's really complex because everyone's disability is so individual, down to even like
Exactly.
micro differences. Like tiny differences can make a big difference, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's difficult. But at the beginning, just now, when you were talking about being born at 6 months, and you described so eloquently that you had, did you say brain damage?
Yeah, yeah.
So academically, then, studying, learning, taking exams, tests, that kind of stuff. How were you affected as a result of that going through school?
Well, it's just that like I mean, as far as my capacity to think and stuff goes, I mean, I wasn't affected on that front. But because of the nature of my CP, it just basically meant that like I needed extra time for like exams and stuff.
Mm,
Because like typing and writing like does take me longer. Like and with some exams like I'd need like a scribe and I would like dictate my answers. And like the person scribing would write it down. Um but I think it's weird because academically I didn't really feel the effects of my disability like until I did my masters. Um
okay.
and what I mean by that is basically because in a master's degree you don't really, at least in my masters, we didn't have exams. We only had like language exams, Japanese exams. The rest was essay based. Um and because of like the pace at which I can do things along with like the sheer volume of work plus like the kind of more severe fatigue that you end up getting with CP because basically to be a bit technical, the signals from the brain to your muscles are like messed up. Basically,
Mm,
that's what CP is. So everything automatically is more taxing. Like you feel fatigue more, like whether mentally or physically. So because I was going through all that, like uh, I felt like knackered. Like it was the first time in an academic sense that like I'd really felt my disability, I suppose.
yeah.
If that's I don't know if if what I said makes any sense, but yeah,
No, it does, mate. So when I was learning to write with my left hand, because I was right hand dominant, exactly the same thing, mate. Mentally, I found it exhausting, and I couldn't understand it. I'm like, all I'm doing is writing, but I hardly ever used my left hand when I was able-bodied, and
right,
so
okay,
your brain has to adjust to start with, and it takes quite a long time. So I 100% get what you're saying, and this is something as well. I think about a lot of disabled people that those who don't know any or have not experienced any kind of disability don't understand is the mental fatigue as well sometimes
yeah, yeah,
of just all sorts, like even just managing your day, right? Like getting about in your chair, you've got to think way more than an able-bodied person does. You can just slap on their trainers and walk out the door.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and it takes a toll on you after time. So you got to find enjoyable ways to relax and decompress.
yeah.
Now, when you got to the end of school, about 15, 16 years old, we've all got a choice to make then, right? Are we going to go out into the big bad world and get a job, make our mark and do our thing, or are we going to go on to further education? Now, I know you went on to further education, which we're going to talk about in a sec. But when you got to that point, were you 100% locked in to academia and learning, or were you kind of going down the work route, but did your disability have any sort of effect on what you could do?
I to be honest, because like I think I don't know if it's the same now, but at least still with my generation, especially like with my parents, they kind of had like the view of like you finish school, you go to uni, like you get a job.
Yeah.
So part of the reason like why I went to uni was like because I thought that that was the path, and uh, and I didn't really look into work, um, but I also didn't look into work because I kind of knew that it was going to be quite tough, finding work with my disability. Um, so I sort of wanted to make myself stand out a bit more, I suppose.
Hmm.
But even back then, I never imagined I'd be where I'm at like now. I just thought I'd be a geezer with like a normal degree, like and that's it. So
Yeah.
it's funny how things work out, I guess. But no, I was always kind of set on the uni path.
And you went straight from school to uni, or did you have to go to college first?
Yeah, so I went straight from school into uni because I basically did my like my GCSEs and then like um sick form at the same school. So it was basically
Okay.
all in one go. And then yeah, I went straight to uni. I started out doing biomedical science actually. Um and and then and then basically realized that like this is shit, I don't like it.
Okay.
Um I stopped after a term, and then basically took a year out and did sports science instead, which was my bachelor's degree. Um, and yeah,
So, but it's interesting because you said in school you were kind of excluded from PE sport, but then in uni you gravitated towards sport. Do you think that's as a result of trying to prove yourself from those experiences?
yeah. Well, I think that, like that definitely has a part to play in it. But even though I was excluded from sport, I just like I knew that I liked sports as a kid. I always liked martial arts as a kid, because I was exposed to Japanese culture like quite early on through like anime and stuff. Um, and actually, one of the first pieces of exposure I had to Japanese culture was through Tekken, the fighting game.
I know it.
Um, but basically, I used to play that with my dad, who and yeah, like so because of that, I was always into martial arts and sports, and then also like at some point during secondary school, like my boys, my friends, they like invited me down to play football with them, um, and we play football like every week. All they did was just like get smaller goals because like I play on my knees like when I'm in goal.
Okay.
I put a couple of videos on my Instagram as well. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're the ones that
Not
invited
yet.
me, like, and because of that, like I was always into sports. And when I made the decision to kind of move away from biomed, um, I said, well, I kind of like sports and I like science, so like let's try this sort of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
What is sports science then? Is like getting tech out, taking measurements, reading the human body optimization, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so you basically you learn all about like what happens to the body physiologically like during exercise. You learn about like um nutrition. You have to learn about like anatomy, so kind of all the names of the muscles, their like insertion points, what they do. You kind of learn the basics of like how to design a training program. I mean, we got to do this really cool module where like um, uh, so my lecturer was like, okay, so you've got an athlete A, for example, um, that's going to train in like or to compete in Mexico City, which is at high altitude. So it's like,
Okay.
right, okay, like in order to prepare this athlete for this scenario, like what type of training do we have to do, like, and what do we have to take into account. And it was even looking at stuff like, pollution, like, is there anything that we can do to combat that, because it kind of affects like the respiratory system and things like that. So it was a really really cool degree, and I got to do some football coaching as well, like, as a uni placement, which was really cool. um so yeah, pretty interesting stuff, I think.
Mate, that's insane. But I reckon at one point in the future, we'll have like you have wearables.
Yeah, yeah,
We've got AI now, like almost some sort of wearable, or maybe something they stick under your skin. That's almost like a sports science coach. So when you travel around the world, you can just kind of like say, "I'm going to Mexico City. I'm competing in BJJ." It knows everything else about you, right? And then it
yeah, yeah,
just gives you the protocols. It's like, right, 4 weeks out, you need to start doing this training with the mask on, and then you've got to get out there 2 weeks before to acclimatize. It's mega clever
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
man. You see it with like a bunch of the UFC fighters. I think when they go to Salt Lake City, that's quite altitude as well, and they've got to
yeah,
go out into
yeah.
the mountains beforehand and acclimatize and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we had an environmental chamber at Kent, actually, at the uni, like, where you could, like, so you'd go into the chamber, and then you could change the temperature, like, inside the chamber, and you could mess about with, like, the kind of uh you could kind of simulate the altitude
Right.
that you were at. So it was really cool, and they also had this, like, kind of wide treadmill that was designed for wheelchair users,
Oh, really?
basically, like, to, like, test their VO2 max and stuff, which is
Mm.
like the maximum amount of oxygen that your body can use at any given time. Um, Basically, it was really really cool. I really enjoyed my bachelor's degree. It was pretty awesome experience.
And what sports did you play at uni apart from football?
Uh, so I actually did kendo for a year, which was pretty cool.
The sword
Um,
fight.
yeah, yeah, it's basically
Ah,
um, so it's the martial art with, like, the bamboo sword. They
the mat.
call it, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They call it a shinai in Japanese. It's made of bamboo, and, like, yeah, obviously you wear the mask and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool.
You
Uh,
do that on your knees or in a wheelchair.
no, I did that on my chair, which was quite the task.
You should
um,
have. Remember how knights used to they used to joust at each other on the horses.
yeah,
You
yeah.
should tuck it under your armpit and wheel yourself into people.
Yeah, well, that's effectively what I had to do, was, like, basically hold the sword in one hand, and then push myself with my free hand, and then swing the sword. So every session I was sweating by the end, dude. Like, it was a lot of work.
Because with your wheelchair, if you just use one hand, it won't it go left or right instead of straight.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and the chair I had back then was, like, so much heavier. Like, this one's a nice one.
Okay.
It's like nice and lightweight. That one was a clunky, like, NHS
Oh yeah,
medium chair.
those big horrible things.
Yeah, the big kind of geriatric ones, if you want to call it that.
And what else did you do there, sport wise? Was that it?
Yeah. So the only sport I did was Ken. I did a bit of boxing as well. To be fair, like, on the pads and stuff. I love doing a bit of pad work.
Mm,
I always have since I was a kid. So I joined the boxing club as well, and threw some hands.
nice.
Um, but yeah, those were the main two.
Did you ever notice? I mean, for us, right? Everything's different because of the extra demands on our body, internally and externally. So when you're going through your degree and you're doing things like VO2 max and even like blood pressure, heart rate, resting, and all that kind of stuff, did you find it super interesting to see where your marks were at compared to an able-bodied person, or just I think it's fascinating. Anyway, I'm a nerd. I love to know what I get. My blood's taken every year.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
slightly high in zinc right now and low in vitamin D. It's because we live in the UK.
Right, yeah.
Um, but it's fascinating, and I'm part of this study. It's called Advance, and every
Right,
couple of
okay.
years, I have to go up to Loughborough. And
Yeah,
what
yeah,
it
yeah.
was is they took me as a 24-year-old who was in Afghanistan in 2007, and they take an able-bodied 24-year-old who's in Afghanistan in 2007. We've never met, but we run this study parallel. And then they take the results of him and the results of me as a disabled and an able-bodied person and compare them over a 25-year period.
Right, okay.
And it's crazy, mate, because there's a lot of things that I beat this dude on. Like, I'm way fitter. Like, I'm more able than this guy. My
Yeah,
bone
yeah.
density is higher. My body fat's lower. What's the thing called where you got to blow into that monitor and it tests your lung capacity?
Well, I think it is called like there is a technical term for it
Which
which
is
I've
like a tool
forgotten,
well.
but yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But like all these results, I was blown away. I'm like 80% of them I beat this dude on. So
Yeah,
did
yeah.
you, when going through all that, I'm sure you did a bit of self-testing, right?
Yeah, I mean it was a fair few years ago now, so
Mm,
I wouldn't remember, but
mm.
the one thing I would say is that I was nowhere near as strong or as fit as I am now back
This is
then.
what I just want to say, dude. Like, I know how strong you are, and I know how fit you are. And it's just fascinating that you did sports science, and you've got a more of a intellectual understanding of it than people like me do. It's crazy.
I'm just a nerd, bro. That's why. Like, yeah.
Me too. Me too, man. I love nerding out. Now, this is what's got me kind of questioning a lot of stuff. How do you go? I kind of know the answer because you alluded to it earlier. How do you go from studying sports science as a bachelor's degree to a
Right.
master's degree in Japanese studies?
Right, okay. You're not the first person to ask that.
Because
Um
for people that can't see, you're not Japanese.
no, I'm not Japanese,
No,
no.
you don't live in Japan.
No.
Right, okay, go. Let's go. Let's find out.
So basically, so as I alluded to slightly earlier, um as a child I was always into Japanese culture.
Mm,
And like part of that was, through like anime and stuff, like, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, like all the things that the kind of big anime that my generation grew up with as kids. And at one point when I went to uni, I remember the first time I asked my mom, I said to my mom in secondary school, I think I was in about year 10. I said, "Mom, like, can I have a Japanese tutor, please? Because I wanted to start learning the language." And my mom's response at the time was, "Oh, like, what do you need a Japanese tutor for?" Like, sort of thing. So I always had a interest in it from very, very young.
mm,
Um, and then basically during my bachelor's degree, I did like a 6 week beginners course in Japanese. It was like this thing called language extra at Kent. You could just like take it on the side. Um, and then once I towards the end of my bachelor's degree, I was, just kind of having a look around and looking into different degrees, and then I kind of saw that like you could do this MA at SOAS without having, like, you didn't have to have studied Japanese before, basically, because most degrees, like especially a master's, it's a requirement. They're like if you want to do this master's, you need to have had a previous degree in a similar discipline
yeah,
or whatever. But then when I saw that they offered this degree, like, and welcomed people from other academic backgrounds, and then also the fact that um, it included time in Japan as well. Like that was the deal breaker for me. It included a summer abroad. And I just like people always ask me this, oh, did you do it for job prospects? Did you do it for because like you can get a better job? And I just said no, like I did it out of love for the language because my and the culture because my outlook on it was if I pursue something that I love, like then like the job will come out of love and passion. So
Yes.
I'll be more productive. But I,
Hmm.
I didn't I didn't look at it as, oh, like if I get this degree, I'm gonna get this job. Like that's not the way I looked at it. So yeah, I just went after it because I love Japanese and I love Japan. And I said, well, it's an opportunity to study it on a full-time basis. So I said,
Mm.
like why not?
I
Um
think you did it the right way for sure, mate. And you kind of proved it when you said that first degree you did. What was it you said you did? Right, and you thought it was shit.
yeah, I know, yeah.
But you would take that with the look of getting a job. You didn't take that because you were passionate about biomed, right?
No, no.
And it made it hard, and then you went, "This is shit. I'm going to quit." But with the Japanese studies, you're passionate, you're engaged, you love it. You don't even feel that you're working because you just indulged in this thing that you love and that you're passionate about. And then you get to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
there as well. And that's like icing on the cake, mate. You
Yeah,
know,
it
I've
was it was amazing.
I've always wanted to go, mate. I think it's beautiful. Like the culture, the history, even the way they are. I've never been. I'm going to go. Absolutely. And when I do, generally when I travel now, most of the time I don't plan things. I just tip up and do stuff. But I think if I went there, I'd really want to have like at least a decent itinerary of
Yeah,
where I
yeah.
want to go, what I want to visit, what I want to eat. You know, a day of meditating or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? I'll plan things in and
Yeah,
stick to a
yeah.
schedule to really get everything I can out of that visit. Maybe drift my car. I don't know.
Yeah, next Fast and Furious. Let's
That's it.
go.
The slow and the laborious.
Yeah.
But no, mate, I'm, as you know, not a lot of people know this. You know it because we've spent time together. But I'm a big anime fan too. When I was a kid, I watched. It was a Street Fighter 2 anime in like 1994, maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know the one?
I think so. Like is it like the animated like movie? Are you talking about
It
that one?
starts off with Ryu and Sagat fighting in a thunderstorm.
Yeah, yeah. I
And they
think I've
give them a
seen
scar,
clips. Yeah, yeah,
right? Because loads of them came out after that, but it was that one, mate. And I watched that, and obviously I played the game growing up, from being that generation, and I loved it. And then kind of just indulged in it from the sidelines over the years. And I didn't know until probably within the last 8 years what Dragon Ball was. And then I just stumbled across it. And I saw it went all the way back to like the 80s.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I tried downloading everything all the way up into the current, but I couldn't do it. So I just used to watch a lot of it on YouTube.
yeah,
And then it led to all these other things. Like I don't know if you've seen Baki.
yeah. Becky, yeah, yeah. I know the one. Yeah,
Mate, I'm rewatching Baki Hanma now because they're just about to release a new one with where they like revive Miyamoto Musashi and bring him back to life so they can all fight this guy,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
mate. And it's so good. Like the not just the story. I don't know about you. I get a lot of. I think you can learn a lot from these things. Like you look at Dragon Ball, and all it is for me when you sit back is like for Goku, for example, right? The message is you just go hard all the time, and when you're at your limit and you're about to die, you level up.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? And you look after the people around you and you protect the innocent. Like there's lessons that you learn from all these things that go way beyond being entertained for 30 minutes at a time. I find.
Well, it's funny you say that because that's basically what my uh like what like a massive part of my master's thesis was based on exactly what you said.
Was it really?
Because basically, so my master's dissertation was entitled "Anime and Identity Within the UK BJJ Community,"
Okay.
and basically what came out from my survey that I handed out was so in 90% of answers, perseverance came up as a teaching from anime. Um, and I basically argued that, um, it's through these lessons that like jujitsu practitioners they kind of take these lessons to their mats and it positively impacts the training environment.
Well,
That's what my whole thesis was about.
mate, it absolutely does. Like I grew up in the 90s, right? Watching Arnie movies and Stallone movies and all this kind of stuff, right? And same thing. You got the hero, right? Who always faces adversity, always gets knocked down, but always is able to push on and to bounce back, like Rocky 3 to Rocky 4, Rocky 4, all these lot, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And mate, I used to think about this stuff all the time when I was going through military training and I was like about to quit and I'll be on some stupid run and I'll be crying because I'm in so much pain and snot's coming out my nose and I just want to quit. I will replay scenes from movies in my mind, mate, to remind me about overcoming adversity. And so you're right, like especially in martial arts with Japanese anime, because that's what it's a lot of it's centered around, right?
yeah, yeah,
Is and again, Goku's an example. Every season he gets his butt whipped by somebody. Some new, bigger, stronger villain comes along who whips his butt, but forces him to go up to the next level and evolve and get stronger, which then forces Vegeta to follow him because he gets pissed off. And he's like, there's no way you're beating me. And then it forces him to go to another level. And then there's a lesson in there about like healthy rivalry and being around people that force you to level up because he probably wouldn't have reached those levels had he not been angry at Goku for reaching them before him.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know what I mean? There's so much you can learn in this stuff. I love it.
There's like because people make the mistake of saying that like anime is for kids, um, but anime is a form of it's a form of media like a book or a film. Like there are books for kids and there are films for kids. So there's anime for kids and there's anime that's not for kids. Like Dragon Ball Z was not designed for kids to begin with, but
Right.
that's how it was introduced to the West because like the original Dragon Ball Z was violent. There was a lot of like blood in there and like in the anime, but when it was introduced to the West, like they censored all of that.
Mm.
So it was never designed for kids.
People say the same about like, Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. They're kids' movies. You know, when
Yeah, yeah,
when my eldest daughter's gonna be 21 this month, right? When she was little, she used to hound me about Harry Potter, and I'm like, I'm not watching that. It's kids' rubbish. She put the first movie on. I finished it. I'm like, put the second one on. Put the second one on.
right.
We watched them back to back. I'm like, Harry Potter's a gangster. I want to see him more. And then I took her to Harry Potter World up
Yeah, yeah,
outside Warner Studios. And I'm like, this is awesome. I was sat in there drinking butterbeer with her. And I'm like,
right.
this
Yeah,
is,
yeah,
but yeah, if you can look at a deeper level, I think, what I mean, above and beyond the entertainment. But then saying that, the actual animation is so beautiful as well. The drawings and you know, I'm not an expert at all, but I've seen a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes just to make a 30-minute episode happen.
yeah,
And it's
yeah.
insane.
It's
It's
it's a
insane
it's a
amounts of
lot
work.
of work. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just like it makes you respect it on a whole other level. A whole other level. Now, I don't want to put you on the spot.
Right. Okay.
I want to hear some Japanese.
Right.
Can
Right.
you
Okay.
say something nice about me in Japanese?
まあ、5年前ぐらい、マークと、私、会えて、今まで、ずっと仲のいい友達に、とっても幸せです。
I think I heard you say my name once, but the rest of it I didn't understand. What did you say?
Basically, I said, like, I said about 5 years ago, um, I I started like this journey, and then like me and Mark became like have become good friends. I'm very very happy.
Mate, it's so impressive. I've always wanted to be able to speak another language, but I'm too lazy. Like, and I'm really happy now. I've got some of those meta glasses upstairs, and I can just like translate through them.
Right. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
it's so man, I'm so like envious of people that can do that. I can't imagine the discipline it took to learn that because it's as well like I'm not saying French is easy, right? But we learn bits of it in secondary school, and I could probably get to a decent level of that if I put some effort in. But I don't think I could do what you just did.
Right. Okay.
It's
Um,
insane.
I think like because even with my Japanese, like I'm nowhere near fluent yet. Like I'd say I'm like conversationally fluent to the point where like if I went to Japan, I'd be fine. Like I can converse like quite easily, but like you know when I went to Japan actually, uh, one of our teachers over there, Abe Sensei, he basically told us that like language learning is a lifelong thing. Like you never stop learning when it comes to languages. So he said like when you hit roadblocks and everything, don't keep going. Like because as long as you keep going, you're getting better. Even
Mm.
if you don't realize it. He was a very wise dude. That guy, and also kept banging on to me about how he loves Iranian food, which
Okay.
which was quite funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I just love it, like which is why I've stuck with it all this time, and I'm actually taking the Japanese language proficiency test in July. I'm taking the intermediate level, so I'm hoping to
Okay.
pass that, and then yeah, see where it goes. It will be another certificate to have on the CV, which would be
Mm.
pretty dope.
Do you think you'll ever go out there and live?
I would love to be honest.
Mm.
When I went there, I did not want to come back. If the opportunity came where like I could get a job out there and live out there, like yeah, I would 100% um,
Yeah.
be down to do that. Yeah.
Now, this is a bit of a boring question, but for me, it's interesting for me as a disabled person. Like, and I've never been there, so I don't know where they're at. But accessibility wise, in your chair, how do you find that?
What in Japan you mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Um, it's it was really good. Like
Was it?
because yeah, like because the pavements are flat, like so they don't have like weird curves like we do over here. Like
Mm.
it's all nice and flat, so it's like a lot easier in terms of pushing. Um, like all the subway stations in like the major cities, most of them tend to be like accessible, and you don't have to do this weird thing like you do in the UK where like if you're a disabled person going to use the train, you have to like let them know 24 hours in advance and all that. Like in Japan, um if you go up to the staff, like they'll literally say to you, like, do you need a ramp? And you'll be like, yes. And then the guy will just get it out. You get on the train, done, finished. Like, they don't need like any prior notice or anything. Like, they're just like the amount of like efficiency, the level
Mm.
of efficiency in Japan is nuts to the point where like if you're going to work and the train is a minute late and you're late because of the train, they will give you a note to give to your boss to say that like the train was delayed,
No way.
which is crazy. Like, ain't no way they're doing that in the UK.
No.
So
No.
like,
They'd make you pay for another ticket, and then you get fired when you get to your job for being late.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I could talk to you for hours. I've got loads of stuff I want to talk about, but let's talk about our shared passion, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right. Okay.
Where did that start for you?
Um. So obviously I said that I was into martial arts since I was a kid, right?
Mm.
Um, but basically, so it was pre-COVID. Um, I was just doing some research about like martial arts and cerebral palsy, and then I kind of stumbled upon like articles about jujitsu, and people seem to suggest that it's not only is it a good martial art, but it kind of helps people with CP as well, because like you have to think a lot. So
Mm,
as well as physically, like there's a lot of focus involved, which is quite important, because like for people with CP, multitasking is quite hard in terms of like your body movements sort of thing. Um,
mm,
so I did a bit of research, and basically because I found out that it was a good martial art to do for CP, I kind of became more intrigued, and then I also realized that there's opportunities for me to compete. Um, and as a kid, like I always wanted to do a sport competitively. I don't know
okay.
why. It was probably because I was left out of that in school. Um, and I always had that edge. Like I don't just want to participate in a sport. I wanna compete where like something's on the line, and the other person like is also trying to win. I don't want to go somewhere like and participate for sympathy. I want something to be at stake. So as soon as I realized that, like, I can compete, I was like, yeah, like let's go. And then COVID hit. Um, so I had to put it on the back burner. But then in 2021, my head jiu-jitsu instructor, like Aria, at Pure, we happen to be following some of the same people, um, and he happened to be on Instagram Live, and I realized, so I just hopped on his live, and I said to him, "Hey, dude, like I've got CP and I want to train. Like, can I sort of come down?" And he was like, and then we got in touch, and he was like, "Yeah, like calm down. Um, I've never trained anybody like this before, but I'll do my best for you. And the only thing I ask is that you give your best in return." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, that's no problem for me." And then yeah, I got started, and I haven't really looked back since. I've just sort of like fallen in love with it, and it's as well as the jujitsu itself, it's given me like so many opportunities that I've had, like including even my master's dissertation, like wouldn't have been possible without BJJ. So like
Mm.
I'm very very grateful.
Yeah. So anyone that's listening to this, if you're hesitant about walking through the doors of a BJJ gym, replay that last bit of our conversation. That Ali has cerebral palsy and is in a wheelchair and just jumped on someone's live stream in front of all of his audience and said, "I want to train," and then started training. So no one else has any excuses. Get down there, walk through the door, start the journey, and enjoy it as much as me, Ali, and hundreds of thousands of other people have. Now, let's drill into it a little bit. I thought you'd been training longer than that because you just got your purple belt, didn't you?
Yeah, so basically in May it will be 5 years since I started training.
Nice. You're
So
flying through, bro.
basically 2021 is May 2021 is when
You're
I
flying
started.
through. You're flying through. What's been the highlight so far of your training? Not competing, just training.
Do you know do you know what I always like even to this day? Is basically, so a lot of the time when it comes to like a disability, people like they kind of judge what you're capable of straight away, I suppose, based on what they've been exposed to, which a lot of the time isn't a lot, right? Like that's where a lot of it comes from, like a lack of exposure. Um, And the thing that I love about jiu-jitsu is that like when somebody new goes to roll with me, like obviously I can tell they've got like a preconceived sort of notion in their head as to what it's gonna be like. And then like as soon as I grab them, like even though I'm not like obviously I'm not as mobile or as fast, but as soon as I grab them, like you can see the kind of expression on their face completely change. And they're like, oh shit, like this guy's got something about him. And I always like that because I get to put disability in a positive light before they've had the chance to like really form an opinion of like what it's like. And that's the best thing for me. um like
Tell everyone your nickname.
um so so my nickname is Death Grip.
Death
um
Grip.
it basically started out as a joke. Because like a guy that I was sparring with just turned to me at one point and said, oh, like mate, you've got a death grip. And then like Aria, our head instructor, was like, oh, that's what I'm gonna call you now. DG, come over here. Like, and then it just stuck. And then I just like I might as well just use it now. Like if
Yeah,
it's
it's a
stuck,
great
yeah.
name. It's an accurate name. And when did you start competing?
So my first competition was actually the very first reorg, I think,
Oh, oh no,
in
it was.
2022.
I know, I remember.
And I competed against Justin like when I was a two or three stripe white belt. Um,
And he was a
and
purple belt then,
and he
right?
was a purple belt. Yeah,
And he's about 400 stone in weight. He's massive.
he's
Like,
huge.
he's huge and he's strong. And yeah, that not a dude that I'd want to mix it up with.
It's funny you say that because I remember the referee looking at me as if to say, like, what the hell are you doing here, sort of thing. Like I could tell from his like expression, and I just kind of looked at him as if to say, hey bro, listen, there's nobody else to fight, like, and I'm not pulling out, so you just gotta step up and you gotta go in there, and that's it. Like, and
I remember
yeah,
that, mate, because I was at that comp and I didn't know how any of this stuff worked. Right? I just thought we got matched up like you would able-bodied with same weight, same belt, similar experience. But I didn't even think that there's not going to be that many of us. And I remember they said they gave me the opportunity. It was to compete against you, or it was to compete against Stu Penn, who was a brown belt. And mate, you're like me, right? You're like, I want to really challenge myself here.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I didn't know you then, right? So I'm not. That sounded really rude.
yeah, yeah.
But
No,
I
no,
just
I
saw,
know what you
I
mean.
saw the brown belt. I saw the brown belt, and I was a blue belt, and I thought, right, this guy's been doing this a while. I want to see if I can, how I do.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he smashed me. Like it was like being in a washing machine. I was just getting spun
Right,
around upside down.
right. Okay.
Right. I got to the end, and I was like, I should have went with the white belt,
Yeah, yeah,
but it was brutal, man. It was absolutely. But like you, man, you just you got on the mat, and the referee's looking at you funny. You're like, just start the match. Like we're going. Like I want to challenge myself, and
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
this whole thing is about, mate.
That's it. Like, and the thing is, like me, like what I gained from that match is far more valuable than BJJ, because like me and Justin are like very close now. He's like an older brother to me. Like we're like he's always checking up on me, like always giving me advice, always like asking how I'm doing. Like I mean, I even went to his wedding when it happened. So
Nice.
like and he's always like bigging me up, and it's like he even says to me like, dude, before I fought you, like, because he came up to me before the match and he was like, are you excited? And I found that really weird because I was like, wait, like I'm about to fight this guy, what is he talking about? Like this
Mm.
guy's huge. And Justin said to me like, before I fought you, bro, I had a like preconceived notion of what it was gonna be like.
Mm.
Um and you just grabbed me, and my facial expression just changed, like, completely. I was like, okay, I have to take this guy like mad seriously now, because he's not here to play around. And that's the thing, like, he he was trying to get me onto my back, but like, or onto my belly, but he couldn't get rid of my grips. Like,
Ah,
no matter what he did,
yeah.
I was just holding on. And then that's when he went for the Ezekiel, and like got the sub. But even then, I only tapped out at like the last second. I was He said you were about to go to sleep. I was like, yeah, I know. But yeah, like, I would, and that's the thing about me. Like, even if I go in there and I lose, like, yeah, you know me, I'll beat myself up a fair bit, like, because I'm terrible at taking into account context and stuff. I just want to go in there and win, like, and I'm quite terrible at being like, oh, but this person had this disability and I've got this one. I just kind of see that as a cheap cop out. But even if I feel like rubbish, I'll still be back for the next one, like, be ready to
Mm,
go again. So
yeah.
so yeah.
Do Do you ever get uh, frustrated with para sport? Because, like you just said, right? You and Justin, that was a complete mismatch, right? On every level, the belt level, the size level, it was a complete mismatch. But even when I've seen you competing against other athletes with CP, there's a spectrum, right?
Yeah,
Of
there's a
how
spectrum.
it
Yeah.
affects your mobility, and I would say that you're at the further end of that spectrum. It affects you a whole lot more than it does other people with CP. And then I
Yeah, yeah.
watch, and this other guy or these other guys can move faster and quicker, and they're not stronger, but they've just got more mobility. So
Yeah, yeah.
even when you kind of, even if you're lucky enough to get matched up with somebody who's similar to you, it's still, the untrained eye won't see it, but the people that know, and they'll still see how at a disadvantage you are. Is what I'm trying to say.
Right, yeah, yeah.
But does that ever get
Um,
frustrating?
I suppose in a way, yes. And like, the most frustrated I've been with it was obviously in Abu Dhabi when I went to compete at Worlds. Um, but that was purely because, like, when we were in Abu Dhabi, there were clearly, like, functionally better people for me to be matched with. Um, like, and it just didn't happen. And I performed really well out there. Like, these guys were using their arms and their legs and everything to try and get like the submission, but they couldn't submit me, and the final of my bracket was finished in 1 minute 10 seconds by submission. So
Mm,
so like, that should tell you all you need to know. Um but like, yeah, it is frustrating purely because, um like, I know that if I'm put in fair matchups, I truly believe that, like, I've morphed myself into one of the best athletes with my level of CP.
yeah.
But I don't really get the chance to show that. Although I suppose, if you look at it from another point of view, in terms of like how my opponents react when they fight me, because every opponent, or most people that I've faced, always talk about how tough I am and how strong I am afterwards.
Mm,
So maybe I do get to showcase it, but in a different way. Um, but I would say, like, that's the most frustrating thing. Um, you
yeah.
know,
I'll be honest, mate. It's one of the things that's kept me away from Abu Dhabi, because I just think it's such a big commitment to go onto that big of a stage, and it's an expense. And then to turn up there, like, I've competed against para athletes. Well, I mean, me and you have competed against each other, right?
yeah, yeah,
I've gone in to compete against people, and generally, it'll be against a guy who's got one leg missing, who outweighs me by 25 kilos. And it could even be a white belt that doesn't know jiu-jitsu. They can pick me up, mate, like a piece of meat, and just slam me around.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm like,
know. Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't, it would be so disheartening, I would feel, to go all the way over there to the biggest stage we can perform on, spend all that money, sacrifice all those early mornings, late night, train, and then just get massively mismatched. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I will. I've got to do it before I'm too old, right? So maybe I'll put in some prep work before I go out there and do some research and
You might.
find
I
out
mean,
who would be.
you might as well give it a go at least once. Like, do it at least once, I'd say. And then
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll go this year. I've got quite a hectic schedule at work. Are you going to go back this year?
I am looking to go back, yeah, but I think this time, like, if I do go, I will fight my case. Basically, I'll really fight my case this time.
I think you should, mate. I think you should maybe start contacting them now and saying, I want to come back. These are my issues from last time. Can we make sure that I'm matched up against somebody with a similar um, issue?
But do you know what the funny thing was? I should have actually I should have got a silver last year or
Then why
2024.
did you?
Because basically what happened was, so the first guy that I faced who had Down syndrome, um, because he couldn't break my grip,
Mm,
he kept attacking my fingers. And he was basically warned 6 times by the referee. 6 times. But he
wow.
he just kept doing it because he couldn't break my grip. And I never knew that there was VAR. Justin only told me afterwards, and he said, "Yeah, if that guy's being warned 6 times, like, he should have been DQ'd. Like, you should have got the win." Um, and look, I don't like getting DQ wins, but in those circumstances, like,
Oh, yeah.
considering who I was up against, I would have taken the win, man.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
like,
I know.
give me the win.
This is what I mean. I was saying to my professor last week, I said, I really need to start learning the rules of like competitive jujitsu. I don't know any of the rules because in my head, all I do is think, I've got to sub this person. I've got to sub this person. And it's stupid because, when we were at the Rio Open, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I got gold and silver. The only reason I got silver in the gi, I lost by 2 advantage points. I couldn't tell you now how I would get 2 advantage points. I don't know. But I
Right.
should know
Okay.
because then although the aim in my mind is to submit somebody, if you're coming into the last 20 seconds and there's an opportunity to get a few points, then I should know how to do that, right? But I don't because I just I've never bothered learning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I need to educate myself and be a bit smarter about it. Um, and then, like you said, like if a DQ win comes along, if someone's not playing ball, mate, then that's on them, not you.
It was so funny though. Like, this guy was trying to rip my arm off. Like, he was putting everything into it, and he was looking at his coach like every 2 seconds because nothing was working. Like,
Mm.
then you had my dad, like, laughing in the background, basically screaming at me, going, "Don't let him take your arm! Don't let him take your arm! Like, he's getting tired. Like, hold on!" Like, and I was like, "Nah, if they're gonna," because my attitude going into those 2 matches was like, if they're gonna screw me over matchup wise, I am not gonna be a walkover. Like, let's go.
Mm.
I was so determined to,
Yeah,
like, put my best out there, and I gained a lot of respect, and I made a lot of friends who I'm still in contact with now. So maybe I should give myself more credit than I usually do.
yeah, sure, man. You're going to compete this year at any of the Rio Opens?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna sign up to compete in March. Yeah, yeah, I'll 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 be there.
Okay, that'd be cool. I'm going to do the same. I think I'm around. I don't know. My diary has a life of its own, so I could wake up tomorrow and like the rest of my year could be booked out. But
Right.
I'll
Okay.
aim, I'll aim to do it and then get back amongst it and see what we do this year. And what
No,
else is in
that's
the future, Ali?
I've So I start an internship soon with the Japan Society as a communications intern. Uh,
Where's that?
it's
In London?
it's yeah, it's so the Japan Society is one of the oldest organizations in terms of UK Japan relations. And they like run events and like they do all sorts in relation to Japan. So there's a festival called the Japan Matsuri, which is every September that they run. And they do lectures on like certain topics. I think they're doing a lecture on like the samurai pretty soon, like later this month. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna start an internship with them um, within the next couple of weeks as a communications intern. Um, and um, and I actually got to the final stages of a graduate scheme as well, for like GLL, the enterprise that runs like the leisure centers, um,
Okay.
like which is pretty cool. So after like months of job searching with nothing, like all the wins just came through all at once, which is pretty dope because I want to have a career as well. So it's just nice to get some W's.
Oh, absolutely. So from being born early, excluded from PE, all the trials and tribulations through uni, bachelor's degree, master's degree, Japanese speaker, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu double champion, intern. Am I missing things out? I'm running up.
I mean, that's pretty much it. We'll see what the future holds. But I do have one big goal
Go
actually.
on.
Um, so the current the current Guinness World Record for the heaviest bench press by somebody with CP is 100 kilos
Okay.
at the moment. I want to go after that record. I
I
don't
saw
know.
you on Instagram rapping out some bench press the other day. What was that?
That was 50.
Okay. You got to
Uh,
double that.
yeah.
Not easy.
It's not easy, but I'm gonna go for it. I'd always rather aim high and fail. I don't. I'm not scared of failure. I'd rather go for something. Um, and if I was scared of failure, I wouldn't have got to this point.
Yeah,
So
exactly, man.
and like when again credit to Justin because he keeps reiterating to me that like you are not like other people with CP. They do not have your drive and your determination. Like he said, you need to keeps telling me like you need to give yourself more credit because I still see myself as that kid like that's not accomplished anything. So that's why I'm like I'm still harsh on myself. Um, but I've seen other people with CP recently, like when I gave that Halion talk, um, the IDPD talk that I told you about, which went really well. Um, and people were like amazed, and someone reached out to me and said, "Oh, like their niece has CP, like can you kind of help me out and like what is she gonna be capable of?" And I had to kind of insist with them, like, look, don't expect the same outcomes for her as I've got, but just encourage her to do her best and like make steps. And that kind of made me realize that like no, I do actually stand out and that I am different because if I wasn't then there'd be a bunch of other people with CB like me doing what I do. But yeah, I'm just a nutter, I guess. I just love going to the gym and training.
Yeah.
So so yeah.
This, mate, the beautiful thing about the day and age we live in now, you can turn that into content. You can self-publish a book. You've already done speaking. Whereas I think 20, 30 years ago, people like us as disabled adults would just be sat at home like rotting. But now we don't have to do that. We can go
Yeah,
out and
yeah.
build legit careers, become athletes, and actually a lot of the time better paid than a normal person in a normal job,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, I know.
crazy.
Because
Like the
you
money
have
you can make, you
multiple
can
income streams. Like that's
mate,
why. Yeah, yeah.
the money you can make through social media, through a speaker, through self-publishing books, even being a mentor, mate. Like being a mentor to a group of other guys with CP. You meet them once a month on a webinar. It's a chargeable thing because of your time that you're given. It's just so fascinating. And with your mindset, like what you've already done, if you decided like these are the things I want to do, damn, I'll be coming to you for a loan. Mate, thank you so much for taking the time again. Is there any last messages you want to leave before we call it a day?
Uh, I'd just say like, as I said earlier, like if anybody wants to accomplish anything, and that this goes for able-bodied as well as disabled people. To be honest, like just don't be afraid of failure. Like aim as high as you can, even if people think that is crazy. Like, so what? That doesn't matter. Like, aim high. If you fail, that's okay. But what if you succeed? That's the thing. So always look at both sides. Don't restrict yourself. That's my number one bit of advice for anyone. Um.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
And where can people find you, mate?
So I am on Instagram. So my Instagram is at DeathGripBJJ. And I'm also on LinkedIn as Ali Golchin. So yeah, you can find me getting up to all sorts on my IG. Probably lifting weights or doing jiu-jitsu, but yeah.
Perfect. So go find him. Ali, thank you so much, mate. I appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Hopefully, I get to see you soon. I'm up your way a lot. I'll try and bring my gi with me and drop in and into Pure and have a session.
You've got to have some more roles. So yeah,
That's it, man.
let's do it.
That's it. Thank you, mate. Appreciate you.
No problem.